Alright folks, welcome back. So today I'm going to try to do a commercial job here, which I always have an issue with because of privacy for these buildings. So we're going to be doing a battery charging station today, and we're going to be doing a washout area today. So I'm just going to show you the job really quick, and I have to keep it very centralized to where we're working here, so I don't show everything in the background. Alright, so we have our trailer set up here. So we're going to be doing, it's going to be 20 by 25. It's a battery charging station here. We're going to be using the CFS 257 primer, which is a Novolac primer, and then the CFS 253 top coat, which is a Novolac top coat. These joints here, these were left open intentionally. We're going to saw cut these, and we're going to fill these with a polyurea joint filler. And then we're going to diamond grind the whole floor and put our coatings down. So this is our first area here, and then I'm going to show you the second area once we get over there. That's about 100 yards away from where I am. Alright, so we marked out the perimeter of where we're going to be stopping this. So we're going to have to edge this with a 6-inch grinder. But this is at least to hold our line so we know where we're going to. So we come right across here, and that's it. So I'm going to show you what it's like once we get these joints filled. Okay, so now I ran the saw down these joints. I know this is always hard to show this, but I ran the blade down the left and right edge, which is imperative that you do to clean these edges so the joint filler sticks to it. We're going to be using a polyurea joint filler to fill these, and then we're going to shave them smooth when we're done. Okay, so Jeff is running ahead of me with some coarse sand just to fill the bottoms of these joints in, otherwise the material is just going to keep running out the bottom. So he pre-fills it, I'm right behind him with the joint filler, and fill it and work our way through. Okay, so we still have that string line set up. So Jeff runs the grinder about an inch from the string line, because obviously you don't want to get the grinder head caught in the string line, just to get the perimeter set up. After the body of the floor is ground, I'll come in with the hand grinder and I do those edges. We put a straight edge down and then grind along the straight edge so we get the straight edge. It's very difficult to get a perfectly straight edge while pushing a hand grinder unless you have some type of guide to follow. So Jeff's going around the perimeter now, and what's happening is the diamonds are heating up slowly, which we really don't realize it yet, and all of a sudden this thing's just going to come to a screeching halt, and the grinder heads are spinning, except it's just not cutting. Okay, so we switched the diamonds out now, and now we're going to use water to keep them cool. The diamonds did get away from us a little bit last time. They overheated. Once they overheated, they glazed on us, and once they glazed, they just spin and nothing happens. So we switched to a different compound now. We're going to start grinding, and these diamonds are open. So you're going to see, I know it's on time lapse, but you're going to see it's going to go much quicker than the last pass that we did. Okay, so now we're going to do the edges with the hand grinder, and what we have is an 8-foot straight edge. And we had that string line laid out, and I'll put little tick marks like every 4 feet or so we know where the line was. So we'll line up the straight edge, and I'll have Jeff stand on it, and I just run the hand grinder right down the edge so we get a nice straight line all the way around the perimeter. You can't tape it and do it. If you run your grinder into the tape, you're just going to get a jagged line. It rips the tape right up. So it's a little bit of a slow process, but you get a really nice straight line when you're done. So we're going to go around the perimeter and do that and go from there. Now that we have done the edges and the body of the floor with the grinder, now we just need to vacuum everything up to make sure there's no dust piles anywhere. Again, since we're using a primer, vacuuming is fine. Even if there's a slight film of dust, the primer penetrates right through it. That's the advantage of the primer, and that's why I always preach using a primer. It's the cheapest insurance you're ever going to get for a good bond. So Jeff's going to vacuum everything up. While he's doing this, I'm going to go down to the other end and start down there at the washout area. And forgive me, this clip is it jumps around a little bit just because I tried filming 2 locations at the same time. Okay, so we have everything prepped. I'm going to show you in close detail what we did with that, but this takes a long time to try to film because while we're also doing this, we also have our online store. So in between all this, I'm doing emails, orders, doing customer support, and then coming back to do the prep work. So we're going to start installing this soon. I'm going to show you the materials and show you how we install that now. All right, this is the Novolac material. This is for a battery charging station. So this is the CFS 257 Novolac Primer, medium gray. The area we're doing, it's 500 square feet. So we have 1 bucket of primer to do this. Our tools that we have the 6-inch roller for the edges. We have an 18-inch epoxy glide with a brush. And then we have our spiked shoes. One thing I just realized I have to do is tape these edges. We do have to tape this edge, and normally I tell people not to tape. This is the one instance that you can tape, and the reason why is because we have a steel trowel finish here, so when we put the tape down, it will actually keep the epoxy from wicking underneath. All right, so I'm mixing the material good, making sure I get the edges good. That's always very important. I pour a ribbon out about 8 inches wide. I pour it parallel along the back wall and then begin to squeegee the material down to the end. This is a very thin primer, so it does penetrate in a little bit, and what I do is actually push the puddle back again just to use all the material up. We're going to do the edges with the 6-inch roller and the brush, and then Jeff is going to use the 18-inch roller and roll perpendicular from the direction I squeegeed. So we get a nice even coverage, and you can see Jeff rolling there. All right, so we're starting to get stuff ready here for our next coat. Jeff's getting that out. I'm going to show you a quick walkthrough of what we have over here. So here's our area that was taped off yesterday. Now this is what I want to point out with this prime coat. I don't know how much you can see on video or not, but for sure this is very patchy looking. This is one mix of 3 gallons of epoxy, and look at the color difference. I mean, you see roller marks. This is what the prime coat does though. It penetrates in. It surely is not the pretty coat, and it's not supposed to be, but it penetrates in to the floor. So we're going to get set up here. We're going to get the next coat on, and we'll go from there. Okay, so now we're almost done here. We're halfway back rolled. See, we're out here. I'm going to try to show you the texture. I don't know how well this camera picks up on this. This is a new camera, by the way. I used to use my phone, except I need my phone all day, and it's quite a hassle trying to use my phone and video. This is a really thick coat. This stuff I want to say is about 100 square feet per gallon. It might even be 80 square feet per gallon. All right, so I'm going to start on the second area. This is I'm going to say a floor scrubber washout area. Jeff is actually at the other side of the building here. Again, I got to watch my camera angles in here. This is a commercial job. I'm just going to show you briefly what we got going on back here. Okay, so this is a little over 100 square feet. This is just where they back the floor scrubbers in to clean the floor scrubbers out. So we're just going to coat this, the floor up the wall here, over the wall, and down to the other side here. So I'm going to set this camera up so you can watch me grind this by hand. Okay, so I'm going to start grinding this. It's really hard to see the taper in the floor, but this floor is not leveled at all. It's pitched very steep into that drain pit. In fact, the RACATAC I'm on actually tends to roll down in there, but it's hard to even get the cup wheel sitting flat on the floor as I do this. Alright, I'm going to have to cut the sound out of this. Everybody always asks me why they have to grind new concrete. And this is brand new concrete here. And if you look real closely, I mean, it looks really good, looks really solid, but there is a layer of latence on the top here. So I'm going to try to grind this Well, I'm going to try to hold the camera close up here so you can see what this looks like. But what you'll notice is the top surface of this scratches off real easy with the diamond. The problem is if you put epoxy on top of that, it's going to light up the laminating one. So even new concrete, you have to grind. So I do practice what I preach. I always say you need to diamond grind first. And I'm going to show you like this, and then I'm going to try to hold the camera up closer. Well, this is exciting, isn't it? I'm sure everybody has better things to do. I appreciate you watching while we do this. Now I'm going to do this one-handed so you can see real close what this does. But like, look at the surface right here, how easily this grinds off. That's one-handed grinding, by the way. And now if you look real close, there's a scratch in there, and that's the scratch that you need for a good bind. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish grinding this thing out. Again, that's tapered very steep there, so I'm just going to get those edges really good. And then I'm going to use a small grinder, hand grinder, and go around the perimeter of that drain to detail that really good. Alright, this is a very noisy job site, so I apologize. Now if you look, we have a scratch all over the surface here. So we're getting ready to, it's actually a 200 square foot kit of the CFS 707 LVP, and then the CFS 707 we're going to put on top of it. So that's what we'll do next. Alright, good morning folks. So we're back. This is day number 2. We applied the prime coat yesterday. I do want to show you specifically how patchy primer can look after you install it, which again, I get phone calls, people are concerned because the primer looks patchy. It soaks in, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to show you a close up here of what the primer does and why this is so important. Okay, so if you look here, you see how patchy this is. The advantage of the primer is it penetrates into the concrete. So although it looks really patchy, and it is patchy, it soaks in there. So now everything is fused together into the concrete. So when we put our next coat on this, our next coat is bonded to a material that's penetrated into the concrete. Very important step. So this is the washout area. I'm going to show you in detail the battery charging area, and we'll go from there. Sorry folks, stupidly enough I forgot to start recording, so I'm recording now. And somehow the footage of us putting the prime coat down yesterday is missing, so I have no idea where that went. But now we're applying the top coat. Obviously Jeff's doing the edges there, detailing that. I'm just doing the body of the floor. I'm going to throw heavy 36 grit aluminum oxide in the surface here so people don't slip in this when the floor scrubber is backed in there, because people are going to be walking around in there often. Okay folks, so now we're done with the top coat in this scrubber area. I'm going to zoom in, show you around a little bit just to see what that looks like. We did very heavy aluminum oxide in here because this is a very tapered floor. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but it's definitely tapered and it's going to be slippery because it's going to be wet often. Okay, so this is what we have here. The drain in the middle. I don't know if you can see the texture in the light here or not. It's very hard to show on camera. But this is it. We used 1.5 gallons of primer, 1.5 gallons of top coat, probably a pint of aluminum oxide, and that's what we got. Okay, so we're all wrapped up. We're getting ready to pull out of here. We appreciate you watching. If you like what you see, please hit the like button, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, ask me. That's what I'm here for.